My name is Ethan Miller, and I should have seen it coming the moment Amanda started fussing with that black dress. She'd been in the bathroom for an hour, curling her hair into perfect spirals, applying makeup like she was preparing for a magazine shoot instead of her company's quarterly party. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "Does this look okay?" she asked, spinning in front of our bedroom mirror. The dress hugged every curve, ending just above her knees. It was new. I'd never seen it before. "You look great," I said, adjusting my tie. "Though I thought you said this was just a casual work thing." Amanda's reflection caught my eye in the mirror. For just a second, something flickered across her face. Guilt? Nervousness? Then she smiled, that practiced smile she used with difficult clients. "Well, Derek will be there. You know how important he is to my career." Derek Sullivan. Amanda's boss, the golden boy of Morrison Marketing. I'd met him exactly once, at last year's Christmas party. Tall, expensive suit, the kind of handshake that lingered too long. He'd spent most of that evening with his hand on Amanda's lower back, guiding her through conversations like she was his personal assistant instead of his top performer. "Right," I said. "Can't disappoint Derek." The Grandview Hotel's ballroom was exactly what I expected. Crystal chandeliers, overpriced cocktails, and a crowd of marketing executives trying to out-network each other. Amanda immediately disappeared into the crowd, leaving me standing by the bar with a beer that cost more than my lunch. That's when Derek found me. "Ethan, great to see you again, buddy." His smile was all teeth, like a shark sizing up its next meal. "Love the tie, very bold choice." I looked down at my navy blue tie, the same one I wore to every formal event for the past 5 years. "Thanks. You know, I was just telling Amanda how lucky she is to have such a supportive husband. Not everyone understands the demands of a high-pressure career like ours." Derek's hand found its way to my shoulder, squeezing just a little too hard. "Speaking of which, she mentioned you might be more comfortable heading home early tonight. We've got some shop talk planned, and you know how boring that can be for outsiders." The dismissal stung more than it should have. I glanced across the room where Amanda was laughing with a group of colleagues, her head thrown back in genuine delight. When was the last time she'd laughed like that with me? "Actually, I think I'll stick around," I said. Derek's smile never wavered, but his eyes hardened. Of course. Though I should mention, we're planning to move the party to my suite upstairs later. Very exclusive. Just the senior team, you understand?" "And Amanda's part of the senior team?" "Oh, absolutely. She's being considered for a major promotion, director level. Could mean a significant salary increase." Derek's hand moved from my shoulder to pat me on the back. I'd hate for anything to jeopardize that opportunity. The message was clear. I was being asked to leave, and my wife's career advancement hung in the balance. I found Amanda by the appetizer table, picking at shrimp cocktail. "Derek thinks I should head home," I said. She didn't meet my eyes. "Maybe that's not a bad idea. You look tired." "I'm not tired, Amanda. I'm being dismissed." "Don't be dramatic. This is important for my career. You know that." She finally looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Impatience. Like I was an obstacle to be managed. "Fine," I said. "I'll wait in the car." I spent 45 minutes in our Honda watching rain streak down the windshield and listening to talk radio. The parking garage was nearly empty, just a few expensive cars scattered across the upper level. Derek's silver BMW sat 3 spaces away, pristine and gleaming under the fluorescent lights. At 11:30, I decided I'd waited long enough. The hotel lobby was quieter now, just a few late-night guests and staff. I took the elevator to the 15th floor, following the signs toward the ballroom. The party was winding down. Catering staff were clearing tables while a handful of stragglers nursed final drinks. I didn't see Amanda anywhere. "Excuse me," I said to a passing waiter. "Did you see where the Morrison marketing group went?" "I think some of them headed upstairs, sir. Private party. Derek's suite. Of course." I found the elevator bank and pressed the button for the 23rd floor, the penthouse level. My heart was pounding as the numbers climbed, though I couldn't say exactly why. The hallway was empty except for a housekeeping cart parked outside room 2308. I could hear voices coming from 23 and 12, Derek's suite. The door was slightly ajar, probably to let in some air. The voices were closer now, and I recognized Amanda's laugh. I moved closer, staying in the shadows by the housekeeping cart. "You're terrible," Amanda was saying, but she was giggling. "What if someone sees us?" "Let them see." Derek's voice was lower, intimate. "You're beautiful, Amanda. You know that, right?" "Stop it." But she didn't sound like she wanted him to stop. I peered around the edge of the doorway. Amanda was standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, Derek behind her with his hands on her waist. The rest of the senior team was nowhere to be seen. It was just the two of them. "I've been thinking about this all night," Derek murmured, his lips close to her ear. "About you in that dress." Amanda leaned back against him. "We shouldn't. Ethan's waiting downstairs." "Ethan's probably halfway home by now. Besides, this is between us. Our little secret." That's when Derek's hands moved higher, and Amanda turned in his arms. They were kissing before I could look away, her fingers tangled in his expensive hair while his hands roamed places that belonged to me. I backed away from the door, my heart hammering so loud I was sure they'd hear it. The elevator seemed to take forever, and by the time I reached the parking garage, I was shaking with rage. Amanda didn't come home until 2 a.m. I pretended to be asleep, listening to her stumble around the bedroom, humming softly to herself like she'd just had the best night of her life. Maybe she had. I called in sick the next morning. Amanda left for work at her usual time, kissing my forehead like nothing had changed, like she hadn't been in another man's arms 12 hours earlier. "Feel better, honey," she said. "I'll probably be late tonight. Big presentation to prep for." Another late night. Another lie. After her car disappeared down our street, I went straight to her laptop. Amanda wasn't particularly tech-savvy, and she'd been using the same password for everything since college, Princess23. It took me exactly 30 seconds to access her email. The first thing I found was a calendar entry for tonight. D-Office, 8 p.m., presentation prep. But when I cross-referenced it with her work calendar, there was no presentation scheduled for this week. Her text messages were even more damning. Weeks of flirty exchanges with Derek, carefully deleted from her phone, but still synced to her laptop. Messages about private meetings and keeping things discreet. Photos of herself in lingerie that I'd never seen, sent to a contact listed simply as D. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through months of evidence. This wasn't a one-night mistake. This was a full-blown affair. I needed help, and I knew exactly who to call. Caleb Morrison had been my best friend since high school. Ex-military, currently working private security, and the kind of guy who could get information that normal people couldn't. More importantly, he was the only person I trusted completely. We met at Murphy's Diner, a greasy spoon on the other side of town where we used to hang out as teenagers. Caleb took one look at my face and ordered us both coffee. "What's going on, man? You look like hell." I told him everything. The party, Derek's dismissal, what I'd seen in the hotel suite, the evidence on Amanda's laptop. Caleb listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. "Jesus, Ethan, I'm sorry. I don't want sympathy. I want options." Caleb leaned back in the booth, studying me. "What kind of options?" "The kind that make them pay for what they've done to me." Revenge isn't always the answer, brother. Sometimes the best thing is just to walk away. Walk away? She's been lying to my face for months, Caleb. Probably longer. She made me look like an idiot in front of her colleagues, and now she's planning to do it again tonight. I gripped my coffee mug so hard my knuckles went white. I'm not walking away. I'm fighting back. Caleb was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone. I know a guy who does surveillance work. Discreet, professional. If you want evidence that'll hold up in divorce court, he's your man. I don't want divorce court evidence. I want them to suffer the way they made me suffer. Ethan, you don't understand. Derek humiliated me in front of a room full of people. Amanda chose him over me, her own husband. They think I'm some pathetic loser who'll just roll over and take it. I met his eyes across the table. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Caleb sighed, but he didn't put his phone away. What did you have in mind? That evening, I followed Amanda to Derek's office building. She'd left the house at 7:30, wearing another new outfit, a tight skirt and low-cut blouse that she'd never worn for me. I parked across the street and waited. At 8:15, Derek's BMW pulled into the parking garage. 20 minutes later, Amanda's car followed. I called Caleb. They're both here. You sure you want to do this? I'm sure. Caleb had given me a small digital camera with a telephoto lens, military surplus, he'd said, untraceable. I made my way to the building's rear entrance, where a fire escape led to the upper floors. Derek's office was on the 7th floor, corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows. It took me 15 minutes to reach the right level of the adjacent building's fire escape. From there, I had a clear view into Derek's office. They weren't even pretending to work. Amanda was sitting on Derek's desk while he stood between her legs, his hands roaming her body like he owned it. When they started kissing, I began taking pictures. The camera's telephoto lens captured everything in crystal-clear detail. Derek lifting Amanda onto the desk, pushing papers aside. Amanda unbuttoning his shirt while he hiked up her skirt. Their faces twisted in passion, completely oblivious to the world outside their glass cage. I took 43 photos before they moved to the leather couch in Derek's office. Then I climbed back down the fire escape and drove home, my mind racing with possibilities. Amanda came home at 11:30, her hair slightly mussed despite her attempts to fix it in the car. She found me watching television in the living room. How was the presentation? I asked without looking at her. Long, complicated. Derek's a perfectionist. She sat down beside me, curling up against my side like nothing had changed. How are you feeling? Better? Much better, I said. And for the first time in days, it was true. The next morning, I printed the clearest photos at a 24-hour copy shop across town. Seeing Amanda and Derek's betrayal in high-definition color made my stomach turn, but it also crystallized my resolve. They'd made their choice. Now, they'd live with the consequences. My first stop was Morrison Marketing's main competitor, Hartwell and Associates. I'd done some research and learned that they'd been trying to poach Derek for months. Their HR director, Patricia Vance, had a reputation for aggressive recruitment tactics. Mr. Miller, Patricia said, shaking my hand in her glass-walled office. I understand you have information about Derek Sullivan? I do. But first, I need to know, would Hartwell be interested in hiring him if certain complications arose at his current position? Patricia's eyes sharpened. What kind of complications? I slid a manila envelope across her desk, the kind that might make him available sooner than expected. She opened the envelope and examined the photos, her expression remaining professionally neutral despite what she was seeing. This is quite damaging, she said finally, though I'm curious why you're bringing this to us instead of Morrison's HR department. Because Morrison's HR department would just sweep it under the rug. Derek's too valuable to them, but if he were to become available, would Hartwell make him an offer? We might be interested in discussing opportunities with Mr. Sullivan, yes, assuming his departure from Morrison was handled discreetly. Leave that to me. My next stop was the Blue Anchor, a bar 3 blocks from Morrison Marketing, where Amanda's colleagues like to grab drinks after work. I'd been there a few times for company events, enough to recognize the regulars. Lexi Monroe was exactly where I expected to find her, holding court at the bar, regaling a group of junior executives with office gossip. Lexi was Morrison's social media manager, which meant she knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. "Ethan!" she called out when she saw me. "Where's Amanda? Don't tell me she's still at the office." "Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about." I bought her a drink and steered the conversation toward Derek. It didn't take much prompting. Lexi loved talking about the office power dynamics. "Oh, Derek's definitely got his favorites," she said, her voice getting louder with each sip of wine. "Amanda's been getting all the best assignments lately. Makes the rest of us wonder what she's doing to earn such special treatment." "What do you mean?" Lexi leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Let's just say Derek's been very hands-on with Amanda's career development. Lots of private meetings, late-night strategy sessions, weekend conferences where somehow only the two of them need to attend. That doesn't sound very professional." "Professional?" Lexi laughed. "Honey, there's nothing professional about the way Derek looks at your wife. Half the office has noticed. We're just too polite to say anything." I bought Lexi another drink and listened to her spill every piece of office gossip she'd been storing up. By the time I left the Blue Anchor, I had a clear picture of how Derek operated and which of Amanda's colleagues might be sympathetic to my cause. That night, Amanda worked late again. Another client presentation that required Derek's personal attention. I used the time to set up phase 2 of my plan. I created an anonymous email account and sent a message to Morrison Marketing's ethics hotline, attaching selected photos and a detailed timeline of Derek and Amanda's affair. I was careful to focus on the professional misconduct angle, the abuse of power, the preferential treatment, the potential legal liability for the company. Then I sent similar packages to 3 gossip blogs that covered the local business scene, along with a carefully worded tip about inappropriate relationships at a prominent marketing firm. The final email went to Amanda's biggest rival at Morrison, Jennifer Walsh, a senior account manager who'd been passed over for promotion twice while Amanda rose through the ranks. Jennifer had always been professional in public, but I'd seen the way she looked at Amanda during company events. The resentment was barely contained. "Thought you should know what's really behind Amanda's recent success," I wrote. "Some promotions aren't based on merit." Amanda came home at midnight, humming the same tune she'd been humming after the hotel party. She found me reading in bed, glasses perched on my nose like the boring husband she'd grown tired of. "Good book?" she asked, starting her nighttime routine. "Very enlightening," I said. "It's about consequences, how every action creates a reaction, and sometimes those reactions are bigger than people expect." She paused in front of the bathroom mirror, meeting my eyes in the reflection. "Sounds philosophical. Just realistic. People think they can do whatever they want without repercussions. But that's not how the world works, is it?" For a moment, something flickered across Amanda's face. Uncertainty? Fear? Then she smiled and disappeared into the bathroom. "No," she called out over the sound of running water. "I suppose it's not." The explosion came on a Tuesday morning. I was having coffee in our kitchen when Amanda's phone started buzzing with incoming calls. She ignored the first few, but when it kept ringing, she finally answered. "Hello? Jennifer, slow down. I can't understand. What photos?" Amanda's face went pale. "What do you mean they're everywhere?" I sipped my coffee and pretended to read the newspaper while Amanda paced around the kitchen, her voice getting higher with each call. The photos had gone viral in their professional circle. Morrison's HR department was launching an investigation. Derek was in emergency meetings with the company's lawyers. "Ethan," Amanda said after hanging up her 5th call, "I need to go to work. There's some kind of crisis." "What kind of crisis?" She hesitated, studying my face. "Someone leaked some compromising photos of employees. It's a mess." "That sounds serious. Anyone I know?" "I don't know yet. I have to go." She kissed my cheek and rushed out, leaving her coffee untouched on the counter. I waited until her car disappeared, then called Caleb. "Phase 1 is complete," I said. "How's Phase 2 looking?" "Everything's in place. You sure you want to go through with this?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." That evening, Amanda came home looking like she'd been through a war. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared, and her hands were shaking as she poured herself a large glass of wine. "Bad day?" I asked. "The worst." She drank half the glass in one gulp. "Derek's been suspended pending investigation. There are rumors that he might be fired." "What happened?" "Someone took photos of him with an employee. Intimate photos. They sent them to HR, to the press, to everyone. His career is over." I made appropriate sympathetic noises while Amanda continued drinking and venting about the unfairness of it all. She was careful not to mention that she was the employee in question, but I could see the fear in her eyes. She knew it was only a matter of time before her name came out. "The worst part," she said, "is that whoever did this is still out there. They could have more photos, more evidence. Derek thinks it might be someone from inside the company, someone with a grudge. Any idea who? Could be anyone. Derek's made enemies over the years. Or maybe it's someone jealous of the success our team's been having." She looked at me directly for the first time all evening. "You haven't heard anything, have you? Any gossip from your work friends?" "Nothing specific," I lied. "Though I did hear something interesting today." Amanda tensed. "What?" "Hartwell and Associates called. They want to offer me a consulting contract. Apparently they're expanding their technical services division and need someone with my background." I watched her face carefully. "The timing is perfect, actually. With Derek's situation, there might be some opportunities opening up in the marketing world." The implication hung in the air between us. Amanda knew that Hartwell was Morrison's biggest competitor. She also knew that I'd never shown any interest in marketing work before. That's great, honey," she said finally. "New opportunities are always good." But her voice was hollow, and I could see the wheels turning in her head. She was starting to connect the dots. The next morning brought fresh chaos. Morrison's CEO held an emergency all-hands meeting where he announced Derek's immediate termination and promised a full investigation into the company's workplace culture. 3 other executives were placed on administrative leave pending review. Amanda called me from the office parking lot, crying. "They fired him, Ethan. They actually fired him, and now they're saying there might be more investigations, more people involved." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I think they know about me." "Know about what?" "You know what. Don't make me say it." For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered Derek's hands on her body, her laughter in his hotel suite, the months of lies and betrayal. "Maybe you should come home," I said. "We should talk." "I can't leave work. Not now. It would look suspicious." "More suspicious than it already looks?" The silence stretched between us until Amanda finally spoke. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I think you should come home, Amanda. Now." She must have heard something in my voice because she didn't argue. 20 minutes later, she was sitting in our living room while I poured myself a drink. I didn't offer her one. "How long?" I asked. "How long what?" "Don't insult my intelligence. How long have you been sleeping with Derek?" Amanda's face crumbled. The lies, the pretense, the careful facade she'd been maintaining, it all fell away in an instant. 6 months, she whispered. Maybe 7. I didn't plan for it to happen, Ethan. It just did. 7 months. I let that sink in. 7 months of lying to my face. 7 months of making me feel like I was crazy for being suspicious. 7 months of humiliating me in front of your colleagues. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. Every single day for 7 months. I sat down across from her, close enough to see the tears in her eyes. Did you think I wouldn't find out? Did you think I was too stupid to notice? I hoped it would run its course, that it would end before anyone got hurt. Before anyone got hurt? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Amanda, you destroyed our marriage. You made me into a joke. You chose another man over your husband, and you did it publicly, repeatedly, for months. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Ethan. If I could take it back. But you can't. And now Derek's career is over, and yours probably is too, and everyone knows what you did. I leaned forward. The only question now is what happens next. Amanda looked up at me with desperate hope. What do you mean? I mean you have a choice to make. You can fight this, deny everything, try to save what's left of your reputation. Or you can accept the consequences of your actions and try to minimize the damage. What kind of consequences? I smiled, and I saw her flinch. The kind you should have thought about 7 months ago. The final phase of my plan unfolded over the next week, like a carefully orchestrated symphony of humiliation. Every move had been planned, every contingency accounted for. Amanda and Derek were about to learn what happened when you underestimated Ethan Miller. Morrison Marketing's investigation concluded that Derek had violated multiple company policies regarding workplace relationships and abuse of power. The photos I'd provided were just the beginning. Once HR started digging, they found a pattern of inappropriate behavior going back years. Derek wasn't just fired, he was blacklisted from the industry. Amanda fared slightly better, but only slightly. She kept her job, but was demoted to junior account manager and transferred to the company's satellite office across town. Her salary was cut by 40%, and she was placed on professional probation for 2 years. But the professional consequences were nothing compared to the social fallout. Jennifer Walsh, armed with the information I'd provided, had orchestrated a whisper campaign that destroyed Amanda's reputation in their professional circle. The photos had been shared widely enough that everyone in the local marketing community had seen them. Amanda went from rising star to cautionary tale overnight. Derek's wife filed for divorce and took half his assets, including the BMW and the penthouse apartment. He moved back in with his parents and took a job selling insurance in a different state. But I wasn't finished. On Friday evening, I called Amanda at her new office. "Working late again?" I asked. "I have to, Ethan. I'm trying to rebuild my reputation. Show them that I'm serious about my career." "Your career." I let the words hang in the air. "Amanda, I need you to come home. There's something we need to discuss." "Can it wait until—" "No, it can't wait. Come home now." When Amanda walked through our front door 30 minutes later, she found me sitting in the living room with a stack of legal documents on the coffee table. Caleb was there too, along with Patricia Vance from Hartwell and Associates. "What's going on?" Amanda asked, her voice small. "Sit down," I said. She perched on the edge of the couch, her eyes darting between the three of us. "Ethan, you're scaring me." "Good. You should be scared." I picked up the first document. "This is a consulting contract with Hartwell and Associates. They've hired me to help them understand Morrison's client acquisition strategies. Apparently, there are some questions about how certain accounts were secured." Amanda's face went white. "You can't. That's confidential information. Information that you shared with Derek during your many private meetings. Information that's now part of the public record thanks to Morrison's internal investigation." I set the contract aside and picked up the next document. "This is a copy of the ethics complaint I filed with the State Marketing Board. Did you know that using personal relationships to secure business advantages is considered professional misconduct? Ethan, please." "And this," I continued, holding up a thick folder, "is a complete record of your affair. Photos, text messages, hotel receipts, everything. I've given copies to Morrison's legal department, to Derek's ex-wife's attorney, and to the private investigator handling their divorce case." Amanda was shaking now, tears streaming down her face. "Why are you doing this? I said I was sorry." I stood up and walked over to where she sat, crouching down so we were eye level. 7 months ago, you made a choice. You chose Derek over me. You chose your career over our marriage. You chose to lie, to cheat, to humiliate me in front of everyone we know. My voice was calm, steady. Now I'm making a choice too. What choice? I handed her the final document. Divorce papers. I'm keeping the house, the car, and half of everything else. You're keeping your student loans and credit card debt. Oh, and Amanda, I'm keeping the photos. She stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. The photos? Insurance, in case you ever decide to cause problems for me or my new career. Patricia here has assured me that Hartwell values loyalty and discretion. They're very interested in protecting their consultants from any complications. Patricia spoke for the first time since Amanda had arrived. We take corporate espionage very seriously, Mrs. Miller. Any attempt to interfere with Mr. Miller's work would result in significant legal consequences. Amanda looked between us, finally understanding the trap she'd walked into. You planned this. All of this. I learned from the best, I said, standing up. You taught me that actions have consequences. You taught me that people will do terrible things to get what they want. You taught me that nice guys finish last. I walked to the window and looked out at our quiet suburban street. The difference is, I'm better at it than you are. Amanda was sobbing now, clutching the divorce papers to her chest. I loved you, Ethan. I still love you. No, you don't. You loved the idea of me, the stable husband, the reliable provider, the man who would never cause problems or ask difficult questions. But that man is gone, Amanda. You eliminated him. I turned back to face her, and I saw her flinch at whatever she saw in my eyes. What you're looking at now is what you created. You wanted excitement, passion, someone who would fight for what he wanted. I smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. Congratulations, you got exactly what you asked for. Caleb and Patricia gathered their things and headed for the door. Caleb paused to squeeze my shoulder. You sure you're okay with this? He asked quietly. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. After they left, Amanda and I sat in silence for a long time. She was still crying, but quietly now, like she'd finally run out of fight. Where will I go? She asked finally. That's not my problem anymore. Ethan, please, can't we try to work this out? Go to counseling or something? I looked at her, really looked at her, for what I knew would be the last time. She was still beautiful, still the woman I'd fallen in love with 10 years ago, but that woman was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize, someone who could lie to my face for 7 months while sleeping with another man. No, I said. We can't. She nodded, finally accepting what I'd known for weeks. It was over. It had been over the moment she chose Derek over me, chose her ambition over our marriage, chose her own desires over the promises she'd made. Amanda packed 2 suitcases and left that night. She went to stay with her sister in Boston, at least temporarily. I heard later that she'd taken a job with a small firm there, making about half what she used to earn at Morrison. Derek never recovered from the scandal. His insurance career lasted 6 months before someone recognized him from the photos. Last I heard, he was working at a call center in Ohio. As for me, Hartwell and Associates turned out to be everything they'd promised. My consulting work led to a full-time position as their Director of Strategic Development, with a salary that was nearly double what I'd been making as an engineer. Patricia introduced me to her social circle, and I discovered that I actually enjoyed the corporate networking events that used to intimidate me. 6 months after Amanda moved out, I was at another hotel party, this one celebrating Hartwell's acquisition of 3 major clients from Morrison Marketing. I was standing by the bar, wearing a new suit and a confident smile, when someone approached me. Ethan Miller, I'm Sarah Chen from the Business Journal. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions about the Morrison account transfers. She was beautiful, intelligent, and genuinely interested in what I had to say. We talked for an hour about business strategy and market dynamics, and when she asked if I'd like to continue the conversation over dinner sometime, I said yes. As I watched Sarah walk away, her business card in my hand, I thought about the man I used to be, the nice guy who finished last, the husband who got taken for granted, the engineer who let other people make the important decisions. That man was gone, and I didn't miss him. Amanda had wanted excitement, passion, someone who would fight for what he wanted. She'd found it, just not in the way she'd expected. She'd created a monster, and that monster had destroyed everything she cared about. But I wasn't a monster. I was just a man who'd learned to play by the rules that other people had written. I was someone who understood that in the real world, nice guys don't finish last. They just finish alone. I wasn't alone anymore. I was successful, respected, and finally in control of my own life. I had everything I'd ever wanted, and I'd earned every bit of it. Amanda had taught me that actions have consequences. Derek had taught me that power corrupts, but only if you let it. I'd learned both lessons well. As I walked out of the hotel that night, I caught my reflection in the lobby mirrors. The man looking back at me was confident, successful, and completely in control. He was everything Ethan Miller had always wanted to be. He was everything Amanda Miller had thrown away. I smiled at my reflection and stepped out into the night, ready for whatever came next. Because I wasn't the same man who'd waited in a parking garage while his wife betrayed him. I wasn't the husband who'd been dismissed and humiliated. I was something new, something better, something that would never again be taken for granted or pushed aside. I was no more Mr. Nice Husband.